All right, welcome back to Weekly Vlog episode number 10. I'm your host, Brian Zach, coming at you from Nashville, Tennessee. And lots to get into today. All sorts of stuff going on, but I'm going to start with what happened yesterday. Well, first of all, yesterday I had a rehearsal here at the studio for my MILEStones band, which has a gig this coming Friday at Rudy's Jazz Room, 8 p.m. right here in Nashville, Tennessee. So if you're in Nashville, if you're in town, come, go to Rudy's Jazz Room. The tickets are on sale right now, or you can buy them at the door. And 8 p.m. It's my band is called MILEStones. It's a tribute to Miles Davis. It's all the music of Miles Davis that I've transcribed and arranged off of the records that we know and love so dearly, and with a focus mainly on the two great quintets that Miles led. So lots of sort of eras of jazz to cover there, and pick and choose from, and it jumps around a bit, so it's a lot of fun. But we had a rehearsal here yesterday and it went really well, and I'm happy to have my friend, super talented Leif Shires, playing trumpet with us on this gig. My regular guy Steve Herman is out on the road, I believe with Lyle Lovett. I think he's on the road with Lyle, and don't quote me on that, on the artist name. But he's on the road, and so he wasn't able to make this show, unfortunately. But we love Leif, and Leif's going to do a killer job. I just know it. So yeah, Rudy's Jazz Room, 8 p.m. this Friday, August 18th, right here in Nashville. So there's my advertisement of the episode. But also yesterday after the rehearsal, I got asked to play in a rehearsal big band, which I didn't even know existed here in Nashville. Apparently every Monday this rehearsal band gets together at a select location, and it's a big band. We play through all these charts, and it's just a sight reading extravaganza, for lack of a better word. It's a great way to sharpen your skills, your reading skills, and your big band chop skills, and all that stuff. So it was really a lot of fun. It reminded me of being in college again, because so rare do you get to play in a big band setting like that, reading such great music and arrangements, and pretty challenging as well, like really pretty hard stuff. I did get some video of it. I should have turned on the camera earlier, because some of the tunes that we played in the first set were a little more difficult and a little more drum kind of heavy, if you will. There was a Latin tune and just some other swing stuff that was kind of more, more fireworks going on. But I did get some video of us playing a tune called Big Dipper, which was arranged by the Thad Jones, Mel Lewis Big Band. yeah, it was just a lot of fun. You know, I wasn't really sure, you know, like if I was gonna you know, when you don't sight read stuff like that for a while, it's a muscle, you know, and if you don't use the muscle, you tend to lose it, at least to some degree, which is why we do the rehearsal big band, you know, because the more you do that kind of thing, the better you get at it. And really, there's no substitute for getting together with a whole group of people in the same room and playing together, rehearsing, sight reading together, because really the only way to sight read, that is, the only way to practice sight reading is by sight reading, right? Because like you're at, you know, you constantly need new material to sight read. So it's kind of a catch-22. It's like, how do I get better at sight reading? Well, you always have to be reading new material and challenging yourself to play something that you've never seen or played before. And that's really hard to do when you're at home, because yeah, you can buy books and method books and exercises and whatnot, but once you play through it once, well, you know, if you play through it again, whether it's today, tomorrow, or next week, you're still, I mean, you still played through it once, you still kind of, you know, there's parts of your brain that will remember certain parts of it. So it just becomes really difficult when you're not in a educational environment. It's really hard to practice sight reading, is my whole point. And so, you know, that's a great reason if you're thinking about music school, that is a great reason to go to a music school, is just to get those chops together so that, you know, when it comes to playing in the real world, it gives you confidence that you can read almost anything. And I do sort of have that confidence, like anytime I'm on a gig or on a session, or, you know, people hand out number charts here in Nashville, those are pretty easy to read for the most part, especially if you can read big band, you know, jazz big band styles, drum charts. Reading a number chart will be so simple, really. So yeah, you know, although, you know, there's not a lot of reading gigs out there like left in the world, you know, apart from maybe like a New York Broadway gig, or, you know, some show or production of some kind where you're reading a book. Yeah, I mean, doesn't hardly exist, you know, unless you're just writing, you know, you're getting together with friends and maybe they're creating, you know, they're writing songs and they bring in charts for their song. I mean, that's something, but that's kind of a different thing too. I'm talking about like you're on stage and you're under the lights and you're, you know, or the red light's on in the studio and you have to read this thing that we just put in front of you 5 seconds ago. Here, read it down perfectly, like you know it by heart. That is a skill. That is a skill that can be developed and worked on and strengthened. So anyway, yeah. So it was a lot of fun, and you know, I hope to do more. You know, I hope they call me back. I hope to get into the rotation of drummers that they use for that ensemble, that rehearsal ensemble. Moving right along, I played a gig with Nashville artist Matt Rogers. That was 2 weekends ago, I think. We were up in Kentucky, and you know, it was a great gig. Unfortunately, it wasn't very well attended, and we partially blamed that on the club owner, who told us to start at like 10 p.m. when the bar closed at midnight. Like, that's kind of crazy. Like, I don't know what that bar owner was thinking. We should have been playing at like 8 or 8:30 or something like that. There would have been more people there. So that was kind of a bummer that there were less people than we thought, because we were expecting it to be kind of like a party and you know, a bunch of, you know, people just hanging out and drinking and having a good time. I did make a boo-boo with the SPD SX because Matt has he carries his own Roland drum pad, which contains all of his click tracks and actual backing tracks for some of the songs. And I just didn't get, like, I wasn't real clear, like, on, well, what ended up happening was we played the first song, and I went to start the track for the second song, only I forgot to advance it to the second song. So what happened was I hit start on the first song and didn't realize it. But then I realized, oh, I made a mistake. Oh, nothing's happening. So I advanced it to the second song and then hit start on the second song. Well, guess what? Now they're both playing, the first song and the second song. And the only reason I didn't know that the first song was playing is because the first song doesn't start exactly in with a click, because it starts with a swell and it gives time before the click actually kicks in. So you can imagine, here we are playing the beginning of the second song and the click for the first song kicks in simultaneously. What a nightmare.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
We all got problems that need fixing. Being this damn broke sure gets expensive. All those bills to pay, those long work days that never end, seem to disappear when I'm drinking beer with all of my friends. Hey, here's to something. We don't need no speech, no reason.
Yeah, that was awkward and huge gaff on my part. It happens, but like I said, with zero rehearsal, and especially like tech stuff like that, where you're under the lights and you're in the heat of battle, and if you're not used to the workflow and the way that the way especially the technology works, it can be troublesome, and you can make mistakes, silly mistakes like that. Of course, I didn't let that happen again after it happened the first time, and I won't let that happen again. But this, glad that, like, there was hardly anybody in the room to hear or see it. I'm only talking about it now because I'm being honest and I'm being truthful about what's happening in my world, and otherwise I wouldn't talk about it at all. I don't feel like reliving that moment, but it's just part of the biz. As drummers, oftentimes we're in charge of the tech. In other words, the backing tracks, the click track, the loop, the laptop. I don't know why that always falls on the drummer. I guess it's kind of because the drummer is already sort of in charge of the pacing of the show and the music. I mean, not really. I mean, I've done plenty of shows where the piano player was the music director, and he or she counted it off and controlled the flow of the show perfectly, very well from the piano chair. So I don't know. I mean, that's just something, I guess, because we're sitting down and we're stationary. Maybe that's part of it. I don't know. You have any ideas about why the drummer is always in charge of the laptop or the click track or the tech that's going on? Write it in the comments. Yeah. So, we were pretty bummed about the whole show. We had planned on staying the night because it was kind of a late, as I said, we started late and kind of ended late, and it was midnight by the time we got out of there, maybe even later, 1 a.m.-ish. And we were just looking for a place to go and chill and get a beer or something before we went to bed, and nothing was open. I mean, not even like a gas station. They wouldn't like, they don't sell alcohol after 1 a.m. I think it was, in Georgetown, Kentucky. So we all just decided, you know what, screw it, let's just drive home. I mean, we're 3 hours away. Let's just make it. Let's just go home and make it. So that's what we did. Must be a street cleaner or something outside. Lots of noise going on out there. I did another gig with the Aly Cutter Band. We played at Aldean's downtown, Nashville on Broadway. Once again, V drums. Not going to go into that again, but I've said my spiel on that, and if you're interested, go check out the previous episodes to hear my ranting and raving about V drums, playing electric drums for 4 hours on a gig. I'll say this, as we were there waiting for the previous band to finish their set before we went on stage to set up, there's nowhere to put gear, there's nowhere to stand, there's no green room, there's literally no space to, everywhere I stood, I was in the way of the servers or patrons of the bar or the restaurant. You put your gear down like in this little corner and hope that nobody trips over it. There's no thought given to the musicians. And this is a brand new space as of a few years ago, a brand new performance space. It's not like it was, built with the idea that they didn't know that there'd be musicians coming and going like almost 24/7. I'm just gonna say, it was just really annoying. It puts you in a bad mood because, before you even step foot on stage, you're already in a bad mood because you're just getting pushed around by these servers. Excuse me, and they're like holding like big trays of food or drinks and stuff, and they're trying to get through and make their tips and get their orders in and out, and and you're just in the way, and it's ridiculous. When we finally get on stage, you got to dial in a drum kit, and couldn't find a kit that I liked. Ended up like choosing something called like a heavy metal drum kit or something, like, because it was the only one that sounded like drums without. I found this other kit. I wanted to use this other kit, forget what it's called, but I would hit the first tom and it was triggering a bell, like a triangle. I'm like, baka baka ding, baka baka ding, and even if I like played it fast, like a like a herda kind of thing, it's like ding ding. I'm like, okay, well, I can't use that, so I ended up using this stupid heavy metal drum kit. I'll play a little bit of clip from that. I actually recorded it direct out of my in-ear mix, which I figured out how to do. I have this Y cable, and so put the Y cable into the brain of the Roland, and on one end of the Y cable is my in-ears, and on the other end is the cable that plugs right into my camera. So voila, there you go, in-ear mix. So yeah, if you're looking to, if you use like a body pack, same thing. Like I was using a body pack with the Matt Rogers gig, and I used the Y cable that went into the pack. So one end of the Y cable, the other end, the Y section, that's my headphone mix, and then this side is the side that goes into the camera input. So if you're wondering how I did that, it's a pretty cheap, easy hack, if you will, to get good sounding videos. So yeah. Let's see here. Oh, I also wanted to complain about, more complaining about Aldean's. Behind us on stage, there's this massive TV screen, and there are multiple screens actually. There's one big one that shows, it's a sign that says Aly Cutter Band, and great. It's got her QR codes for people to use their phone to take requests and Venmo the tip money to us when we make the request. Well, on the sides of the big screen in the middle, there are other screens that are showing all sorts of football games, baseball games, whatnot. And I mean, I can't help but notice that, you're looking out at the audience while you're playing, and they're not at us. They're looking at the TV behind us. They're watching the game. Like, really? We're on stage, like live musicians. We're playing our hearts out for you. And the club is cool with putting up football behind us so that their eyes they're literally like if you were me, right? I'm looking at you right now, but they're over here looking like this. It just boggles my mind. I mean, this is a music venue. This is supposed to be a music venue. The musicians in and out all day and all night till 2 a.m., 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. Insane. Just insane. Okay, enough with that. I did a really cool, fun gig with Big Monti Gig. He's a blues rock guitarist, singer, really great guy, great musician, great blues guitarist. We played at Bourbon Street Blues Bar at Printer's Alley, downtown Nashville. That's a room. That's a good music room. That's a room where management knows what's going on. There's not a single TV in there. There's no sports. There's no ESPN. There's no football that's perpetually playing behind you, God forbid. It's a music venue. People go there to listen to music. Wow, what a concept.
Soul, fool throwing dice, lost it all in a row. I think of places I would rather be. Oh, my baby, come and love on me.
It's a great club. It sounds great. It's got great, spectacular views from both downstairs and upstairs. There's a balcony, and you're kind of like overlooking the stage. It's pretty cool. Yeah, what a nice feeling. And real drums. Hey, look at that. I brought my darker cymbals with me because just knowing it's blues, it's acoustic, it's like I know I'm not going to be hitting real hard, so because you don't need to play that loud in there. It just sounded great. It was an older audience, so that there's no like groups of these wedding parties and bachelorette parties and stuff. People, all they want to hear is Taylor Swift or some crap like this. So, and they tip well. The older people, if they're boomers, a lot of them are boomers, or maybe a little bit younger, maybe my age, but they tip better. So that's nice. Made some money. Let's see. Yeah. I don't know what's going on in this town. There's an article out. These club owners who own Tootsie's, and various other clubs around town, Honky Tonk Central and Kid Rock's club, and maybe like one or two others. These guys have this thing called a honky tonk school, and they think that they're like training these young, like teenage singers and performers to play in their clubs, and there's a horrible contract that they drew up that's supposed to be exclusive, and the contract's full of typos and grammatical errors and all sorts of, it's like a one-page contract kind of thing that only protects the club owner kind of thing. Really sketchy, really dubious, really, man, just run for the hills. People, don't do this. Don't sign on to this crap. There are much better ways to learn your craft without being exclusive to these club owners who really, all they care about is their bottom line. They don't care about you or your career or how much money you're making. Yeah, in the contract, they say they're going to hire you like, I don't know, 3, 5, 7 times a week or something. There's cases of that being like, like not true, and man, it's just so wrong. I just feel the need to speak out against this trend. The club owners controlling every aspect of what's happening on stage. They choose the songs that you sing, that you perform, the way that you perform them, maybe the order that they're performed in, the clothes that you wear. Yeah, there's a lot that's wrong with that. So I just want to speak out against that, because I very much am against what they're saying and doing. Oh, and I forgot the best part. They're requiring all band members to pay 10% of their earnings back to the club to fund their honky tonk school or whatever they call it. Man, so it's like mafia stuff, man. It's ridiculous. Don't do it. You young singers out there, if you're watching this, don't do this. Don't do it. Okay, last but not least, I want to share with you some podcasts that I'm into, that I listen to, pretty all the time, like weekly. When I go to the gym, I listen to a lot of podcasts. When I mow the lawn, it's when I listen to podcasts. Sometimes if I'm on a long drive, podcasts. So I'm just going to list them out a little bit. The first one is one that's been kind of offline for a while. I think maybe he's bringing it back, but it's called I'd Hit That. And it's a little tongue-in-cheek of a title there, but the guy who runs it and does the interviews is, he's like a New Yorker, and I really appreciate his humor and his sort of, he really is not afraid to get down and dirty with the details and the gritty rock and roll life with some of the artists that he's interviewing. And it's really, I mean, there's over the years, because I started listening to this podcast back in 2015, so he has quite a lot of back catalog of artists, so it's worth going back to previous years and checking out all the different drummers and other artists, producers, engineers. It's not just drummers that he has as guests on his podcast. I can't remember his name, the guy that runs it. Anyway, so another one is Breakfast with Vinny. Vinny Colaiuta has a podcast. It's not super regular, but he updates it from time to time. And every time he does, I always check in and listen to it, because he's just, not only is he like a genius at the drums, but he's super well-spoken and well-read and has a insane vocabulary to go along with his insane drumming vocabulary. So check that out, Breakfast with Vinny. It's called Working Drummer, which is sort of a local podcast here that's run by two guys. I've had the pleasure of being a guest on one of their episodes a few years back, and they're always churning them out. It's Matthew Krause and Zach Elbetta, I believe, are the names, the two guys who run it, who are the interviewers for Working Drummer. Those guys are great, really, with a focus on sometimes, the more blue collar-esque workers, the drummers who are less known, the less household names, like not the Vinnie Colaiutas or the Dave Weckels so much as, guys like you and me who are just out here, making a living and playing, kind of in the trenches sometimes, Another one is Yannick Gwizdala. He's a bass player. So I've been listening a lot to his stuff because, I like his accent. First of all, I think he's from England originally, but he lives in LA now or somewhere in California, and heavily into jazz fusion. He went to Berkeley, and a lot of his podcasts are about playing bass and sort of being a bass player, which is always interesting to get a bass player's perspective on things. And sometimes he does talk about playing with drummers and what he likes, what he dislikes. So that's always very interesting. And I like how he shares some of his workflow with writing songs and recording his own music. He's recorded a whole slew of records of his own, as well as I think he was most recently on tour with Steve Smith, the drummer from Vital Information drummer. So always interesting to hear from Yannick Gwizdala. Another one that I've been checking out lately is called Arnold's Pump Club, and it's Arnold Schwarzenegger. And these are almost daily podcasts. It might in fact be daily, and mostly they're just brief, like 10 minutes or less podcasts that talk about health and working out and eating healthy and just having healthy habits, having a healthy lifestyle, as it were. So, and who else, to listen to for that than Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Terminator. So he's awesome, and I love those podcasts that he's putting out. So check out Arnold's Pump Club. Another drum podcast that I listen to quite often is Drum Candy podcast. I'm forgetting the guy's name now that runs that, but he's really great. He's a great drummer, and he very informative podcast. So he tends to focus sometimes on more of the gear, which is if you're a gearhead, like, I don't know if I'm a gearhead, but I do like drums, and I like talking about drums and hearing drums and just discovering new things and drums and cymbals and everything related to drums. Drum Candy podcast, highly recommended. And last but not least, there's one called Big Fat Five, and I don't listen to that one too often, but it's he asked their artist, the guy that's interviewing will ask the guest to like list off 5 favorite things, kind of thing, 5 favorite songs, 5 favorite drummers, 5 this kind of thing. So really just kind of entertaining, so yeah, those are some of the podcasts that I've been listening to. What else? I think that's it, so just a reminder to if you're in Nashville this week, August 18th, 8 p.m., Rudy's Jazz Room, MILEStones, my band, is playing there. Can't wait to perform this great music for you. It's all Miles Davis, as I said at the start of this episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the like button, write me a comment. Seriously, I love to hear from you guys. I want to know I just want to hear from you. Just say something, write a comment. Just, I hate you, or I love this, keep doing it, I want more, or I don't know. I'm just going to include, a couple. Hopefully I've included a couple of clips of my playing from some of these playing experiences that I've had over the past week or so, and I hope you dig that. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Brian Zach. Don't forget to check me out on patreon.com/Brian Zach, because I do have a Patreon page that's fully devoted to finding success in the music business from the drum chair. So tons of video and content to digest in there. And last but not least, I teach drum lessons. So if you want to get with me and you're in Nashville, definitely hit me up in the comments, or go to my website, brianzach.com, or hit me up on Instagram or Facebook or wherever you find me. I'm easy to find. And if you're not in town, I do Skype lessons, FaceTime, Zoom, whatever your preferred format is. We can do lessons like that too, especially like hand technique stuff. Those lessons really translate on camera quite well, using the drum pad and whatnot. So yeah, other than that, that's going to do it for this episode. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you soon on the next episode of the weekly vlog series here from Brian Zach in Nashville. All right, guys, take care. Have a great week. Keep practicing, and I will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.